interesting. So the Toastmaster Rahul is delivering his level 1 project to speech, writing a speech with purpose. So the purpose of speech is a clear speech writing and with a specific purpose of the delivery. So that's all. I was about to announce the topic, but I am reserving that for teamwork.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rahul. So I recall that Toastmaster Rahul is our past president, immediate past president, and he is on the second project of level 1. What impression does that give to you? But I feel like he is a person who is giving every opportunity to others. He just have delivered just one single speech till now, and he is the one who is with us from the onset of this club. So let's invite Toastmaster Rahul. Toastmaster Rahul, I have something to say. Toastmaster Rahul.
Let me start with a question. How many of you want to become a public speaker? Please raise your hand. This speech is for those who are not. Let me tell you my story. How did I become a public speaker or fail to? I joined a meeting back in June 2019. It was a small club called Invictus Toastmasters. I was sitting there trying to hide somewhere in the background just so that nobody notices me. And I thought to myself, what is the harm? I'll just walk away from this meeting and nobody would know me, right? I sat there and one of the prepared speakers came up on stage. She started her speech very well. She talked about child harassment, how children are being harassed or they get harassed by their relatives, their family members sometimes. I thought, okay, that's a good speech, right? But during her later half of the speech, she flipped the script. She said that blah blah blah, my parents told me this and that, and then I realized that I was harassed. And that blew my mind. For the very first time, Toastmasters, I have seen multiple speakers, motivational speakers, this and that, but I've never seen someone being on stage sharing their vulnerabilities with us. And then I realized that I had something to say. I came to join this club and delivered my speech, first speech, on July 4th, 2019. And the title was The D2. And the idea was I was taking them on a day tour with me and I'll explain all of the things that are wrong with my life. And I fabulously did so. But the audience, although they gave me a standing ovation, I realized that I just dumped all of my insecurities or whatever I had in mind with the audience. And that was not something that I was hoping to do. I thought that was a bad speech, to be very honest. I went back home and I thought to myself, oh, I need to be more like cheerful people like in Toastmasters, and I do the same. The next week I came and there was a very interesting person who had just joined and she was delivering her icebreaker speech. She went on to deliver her speech how she lost her parents in a tragic accident and how she was raised by her grandparents. And in her speech, she mentioned my name. She said that in the last week, Toastmaster Rahul delivered his speech about his life story, and that gave me confidence to deliver my life story. Again, my mind was blown. I thought somebody actually got something out of my speech, and that is wonderful. But as you may or may not have realized or guessed, that I did not continue on that path. I tried to become more like Toastmasters, who are cheerful, who talk about basic things, right? Like how to overcome anxiety, how to be a good speaker, what are the SWOT analysis, how you can improve your life, how to achieve your goals. And Toastmasters, this is what I did for the next 7-8 months. I was just an average speaker. While I tried to prepare my speeches, I came on stage, I delivered my speeches. I saw everybody was clapping, but I shook my hand in dismay. I thought to myself, I maybe lost the plot in between. But I continued, like every other Toastmasters, who cares, right? You come up on stage, you deliver a speech, and probably that's all. And that's how I continued my journey as a Toastmaster. Come International Speech Contest. And I was required to deliver a speech. Why? Because there were only 3 participants and I had to be one of them, just so that we have 3 ranks there. I prepared a beautiful speech. The story of a Vice President Public Relations. But I scrapped that at the last minute. I wrote another speech called Disappointment Panda. I went on stage, I delivered that speech, I spoke fabulously. This time, people forgot to clap. They forgot to laugh even. I took 7 minutes and 28 seconds to deliver that speech. And the timer, later after I concluded my speech, timer just took me around and he said, I thought you were going to get disqualified, but you just saved yourself by 2 seconds. I bombed the stage, but I continued. Later, I became the Vice President Education of Invictus Toastmasters, and that was July 2020. It was middle of pandemic. I had all of the opportunities to deliver speeches on stage, on virtual platform. You know how many I delivered? 1. How long? 2 minutes. In December 2020, I had every opportunity to become the president of the club. I said, that's all. I wrapped my bags, virtual bags, and left. I thought Toastmaster Rahul was done because he had 1.5 years to deliver what he wanted to deliver, but he could never. Toastmasters, it is not that I had nothing to say, but what I was trying to say was maybe not something I was ready to deliver. It was not that I could not write speeches, but the speeches I wrote, I never practiced. And whatever I practiced, I never delivered. And whatever I delivered, I think got missed by the audience. And that, in my opinion, was a complete failure. And I thought probably that's all. Toastmasters, I joined this Toastmasters setting back again in July 2024. You know how many speeches I've delivered since then? As Toastmasters Race said, 1. You know how much preparation I took? None. The speaker backed out at the last minute. I came up on stage. I delivered my speech. But that made me realize why the heck I am here. Why the heck am I trying to be what I am trying to be, right? And Toastmasters, let me tell you one thing about me. Till the time I have left Toastmasters and till the time I joined Toastmasters back in July 2024, I left the stage. I was never on the stage. But the stage never left me. Wherever I went, I thought to the person on stage. I thought about, what if you were there? Who, me? No, I cannot be there. But there was always a potential in me that kept on screaming, Rahul, you can be there. What if you were on stage? What would you say? Maybe you deliver this message better. But the other half of me, well, you cannot write a speech. And if you cannot write, you cannot deliver. If you cannot deliver, you will miss the plot. And if you miss the plot, what's the plot? Right? Toastmasters, this is how I felt for a very long time. And even this speech is an impromptu speech. I never prepared for this speech. And you know why? Because there are a few things in our hearts that we are maybe too afraid to talk. And we are too shy of talking. We can talk about everything, but we tend to not talk about what matters to us. When I was in Invictus Toastmasters back in December 2020, I wanted to be on stage and tell everyone that whoever thinks I'm confident, I would like to tell them how I was bullied back in school and stripped away all of my confidence. Whosoever thought that I am fabulous, I can handle multiple roles, I would like to tell them that how I was curled up in my bed and was thinking to myself, how can I face them? I had no confidence. I was so stressed. Whosoever thought that I was the cheerful one, always laughing, always cracking jokes, I would like to tell them how it feels to be stressed about your life. But I never did. And that kept me bugging for the last 2 years. Toastmasters, it is a thing that we call a Toastmaster that you have anxiety to come up on stage. I thought the same, right? That it is just the anxiety to be on stage and deliver whatever you want. But that's wrong. That's not complete. There are actually two fears. Fear number one is being on stage. And the fear number two is delivering what you want to deliver. And I never conquered my fear number two. I always shied away. And Toastmasters, if somebody had told me that it would take me this long to deliver this speech, I would have told them, yes, you are correct. Toastmasters, I would like to conclude this speech by saying this thing that I kept on saying to myself. You can hide from this stage all you want. You can deliver speeches that you want to deliver and maybe shy away from saying whatever you want. I hope that you shy away. I hope that you run away from Toastmasters. Because what Toastmasters might implant in your brain may never leave you. You may leave the stage, but the stage may never leave you. Wherever you go, it might remind you who you are. That there is something for you to say. There is something that you left unspoken. And one day, you will stroll in a meeting full of people, standing up on stage, and deliver what you want to deliver. And that's all from my side.
Wow, what an impromptu. Wish I could do that. So now let's move on to the final direction of our theme, becoming comfortable with being